What are you making?
Making steak with mushrooms and mashed potatoes and some horseradish sauce.
Oh.
Now it's new, but this is the 10th week that we've had this. So we're going to do a 10-week review on how it works and what we think about it.
In case you didn't see our stove and oven diesel install, to catch you up, this oven is the Wallas diesel oven that is powered by diesel, and this here is the Wallas stovetop, also powered by diesel.
Did he mention that they're diesel? These two pieces were chosen for several very specific reasons. The top one being that they're diesel. So now the only type of fuel that we are searching for is diesel, because we also own a diesel 1-ton truck. And we already converted our heating and hot water to the S-Bar D5, which also runs off of diesel. This eliminated propane from our rig, which was a huge deal. Second reason that this stovetop was chosen was because it's not only a cooktop, but when you put this top down, it also acts as a heater, which means it's a secondary heating source for us.
And with that lid closed, the air blows across the burners and then right out the front lip right here into the cabin.
Now that we've been using these for 10 weeks, what have we learned? Let's start with the oven. And the first thing is the control panel. The control panel for the oven is in Celsius, so I've had to adjust and adapt to cooking in Celsius. Now this control panel is extremely simple to use. Set the temperature, turn the button on, and away it goes. It does its own thing. The other button on the control panel is simply a light, which I can turn on and off as needed.
Now, just like any good diesel engine, this oven does take a while to heat up. Approximately 25 minutes or so until it's ready to go.
Moving on to the cooktop, this is a ceramic cooktop. It's very similar to a glass electric cooktop. However, it looks like there are two burners here. In reality, this is actually just one single burner. The burner being located on the left-hand side. As you move to the right-hand side of the cooktop, the heat diminishes and you get a lower level of heat on this side. For example, if I were to have the pan on the hot side of the burner and I was boiling something in this pot, and then I needed to reduce the temperature in that pot to a simmer, I could simply move it to the right-hand side of the stove and reduce the heat to it, rather than adjusting the temperature using the controls. Initially, when we were looking into purchasing this stovetop, we were very concerned with the fact that this was essentially a single burner stovetop, until we realized that the old propane cooktop had such limited space on it. A lot of the time I was only using one burner anyway. And we love to boondock, which means that I try to use as few dishes as possible. So a lot of times I'll cook one-pot meals. So for this reason, we realized we really could get away with moving to a single burner cooktop.
This stovetop has been working well for us. And this is not a sponsored video, so we're just going to talk about everything that we know about this stove and oven in 10 weeks that we've operated them. It gets hotter than the propane stove previously. Lauren has made some steaks and she has been able to sear them and seal in those flavors, and it has been delicious. It also can run for hours at a time, so making soup on the cooler side and simmering that soup for hours on end works great too. One thing that I didn't really like about this stove was the energy source was diesel. It was not a renewable energy source. Like our refrigerator, I kind of wanted to cook off of solar. But doing that with the technology and how much room I have on the roof for solar, and we boondock and camp a lot in the wintertime, it just didn't seem feasible for us right now. But in the summertime, and we got it, is an induction cooktop. So we can place it here and use it, and we're going to dabble with using induction versus diesel until our next review.
The controls for the stovetop, very much like the oven, are very simple. Hold the button down for 2 seconds and it starts to heat up. Like the oven, it takes a while for it to initially heat up. This stovetop takes about 7 minutes to get to temperature. In the morning, before I start cooking breakfast, I start by filling this pot full of water for coffee, and I put it on the stovetop while it's heating up. Now, Ben has been dabbling in instant hot water. It doesn't work yet, though.
I'm trying to figure it out.
When he finally gets that worked out, this step will be eliminated, and as soon as this cooktop is hot, I can go straight to cooking breakfast. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. This stovetop so far has worked really well. It has been an adjustment to learn how to cook on it. But let's talk about cleaning it up. What I have learned is this stovetop gets very hot, but then it takes a very long time for it to cool down. Once it has cooled down, I've learned that it doesn't always work to just wipe it down with a multi-surface spray. Because this entire surface gets hot, if I'm cooking something on the hot side and it splatters onto the cooler side, it ends up baking onto the cooktop here, which will stain the print here, and it will leave grease spots on the cooktop. So what I've done to clean that off and keep the stovetop clean is clean it after every use. I wipe it down with a multi-surface spray, and then I take a little bit of baking soda and I sprinkle it over the top and use a soft brush and scrub the baking soda over the surface. This takes that baked on grease off of the surface. Now the first time I did this, I let the grease bake on there for a couple of meals. This was a big mistake. Not only did it stain the cooktop, but it also made that grease very hard to get off. In order to get it off, I had to use baking soda, Dawn, and a little bit of lemon juice, a rubber scraper, to get that grease to soften up so that I could softly scrub it back off the surface. Once it got clean again, I have been able to keep it clean, but only by cleaning it after every use.